I can't. Yo, I haven't eaten nothing today. I have not eaten nothing. And now that my hair hurt, I can't even eat right now because my adrenaline is so up right now.
Shit, Uncle Smurder cooked in there. That food smells so good. I'm trying to be like, watch the game, and I'm hungry too.
Sweetness just roll. Let's go. Something that Santa was like, Ash. Saucy, love you, kid.
I'm
I
patient.
told him to put my bro in that game. He got that TD.
I think they're gonna count. They counted. They counted that
They
touchdown. Yeah,
counted
they
the
counted
time.
that touchdown.
I can't F*KN breathe. That wasn't a lyric. That wasn't a joke. That was Cardi B in real time. Spiraling with nerves as BD Stefon Diggs stepped onto the playoff field. While the cameras stayed locked on the game, Cardi's anxiety was stealing the show behind the scenes. This wasn't just football stress. This was personal. Every snap, every hit. Every pause in play had her heart racing, pacing the room, refreshing her phone like the outcome depended on her breath alone. Playoff games already turn fans into emotional wrecks. But Cardi isn't just a fan. This is the man tied to her name, her image, and the internet's non-stop speculation. One wrong move and the internet would explode. One bad play and the memes would write themselves. You could hear it in her voice: fear, pride, pressure, and a little bit of panic all crashing at once as Stefon Diggs fought for legacy on the field. Cardi was fighting her own battle off it against anxiety, expectations, and millions of eyes waiting to judge her reaction. And when she said she can't breathe, it raised a bigger question. Was this about the game or about everything that comes with loving someone under a playoff spotlight? When Cardi B said, "I can't F*K and breathe," it didn't sound like a joke or a dramatic line for social media. It sounded like panic. Real panic. The kind that hits when you're watching someone you care about walk into a moment where everything can change in seconds. As Stefon Diggs stepped onto the field for a playoff game, Cardi wasn't just watching football. She was holding her breath through every snap, every hit, every pause. Knowing the stakes were bigger than most people realized. Playoff football is pressure on another level. It's not like a regular season game where a bad night can be shrugged off and forgotten next week. In the playoffs, one mistake can define an entire year. One bad performance can rewrite the story people tell about you. Cardi understood that clearly. That's why her nerves were so visible. This wasn't about being dramatic. This was about knowing how cruel public judgment can be when the spotlight is at its brightest. Stefon Diggs isn't just any player. He's one of the most talked about wide receivers in the league. Praised for his talent, but constantly questioned for his attitude, emotions, and reactions. Every playoff game becomes a test, not just of his skill, but of his character. Is he clutch when it matters? Can he stay locked in? Does he rise under pressure or crack? Those questions follow him everywhere. Cardi knows how fast those narratives can turn ugly. Watching that from the sidelines is torture. Cardi couldn't help him. She couldn't step in, slow the game down, or shield him from criticism. All she could do was watch and hope. For someone like Cardi, who is used to being in control of her own image and career, that kind of helplessness is overwhelming. Her anxiety wasn't weakness. It was frustration mixed with fear. People often forget that celebrities feel things just as deeply as anyone else. Money doesn't cancel stress. Fame doesn't erase fear. If anything, it amplifies it. Cardi wasn't just worried about the outcome of the game. She was worried about what would come after. She knows how one bad night can become weeks of memes, hate tweets, think pieces, and blame. She's lived through that cycle herself. Loving someone in the spotlight comes with a special kind of pressure. Every emotion is watched. Every reaction is judged. When Cardi showed nerves instead of confidence, some people criticized her for being too emotional. Others mocked her anxiety. But what they were really reacting to was vulnerability. The internet claims to love authenticity, but it punishes it the moment it shows up unfiltered. Cardi's reaction didn't come from insecurity about Stefon's talent. It came from understanding the system. She knows that if he plays well, he'll be praised like a hero. But if he struggles, the criticism won't stop with him. It will spill into their relationship. People will start asking if she's a distraction, if she brings chaos, if her presence is bad for his focus. This is a narrative women connected to powerful men know all too well. Her anxiety also comes from experience. Cardi has watched her own life be dissected by strangers. She's seen how one clip, one quote, one bad moment can overshadow years of hard work. So when she said she couldn't breathe, it sounded like someone who knows how fast things can fall apart when public opinion turns. The moment went viral because it didn't feel staged. There was no polish, no PR filter, no attempt to look unbothered. It was raw. It reminded people that behind Cardi B, the brand is a human being who gets scared, who cares deeply, and who feels pressure just like anyone else would in that situation. At the same time, Stefon Diggs was fighting his own battle on the field. Every route he ran, every target thrown his way carried weight. He wasn't just playing for a win. He was playing for respect, for silence from critics, for validation. And while he was dealing with defenders, Cardi was dealing with millions of eyes watching her. Reaction in real time. What makes this moment so telling is how differently men and women are treated. A male celebrity watching his partner compete rarely gets questioned for being emotional. But when a woman shows stress, it becomes a problem. Suddenly, she's doing too much or losing control. Cardi's reaction exposed that double standard clearly. In reality, what people saw was love under pressure. Not the glamorous kind, not the Instagram caption kind, but the anxious, stomach-tightening kind. The kind where you care so much that your body reacts before your mind can catch up. Cardi wasn't spiraling because she doubted Stefon. She was spiraling because she understood exactly what this moment could mean for him. This wasn't a breakdown. It was a crack in the armor. Cardi B, known for confidence and loud energy, showed a softer, more vulnerable side. And for a few seconds, she wasn't a superstar. She was just someone hoping the person she cares about makes it through the night without the world turning on him as the game continued. One thing became clear. No matter how it ended, this moment had already said a lot. About pressure, about public relationships, about how love looks when everything is on the line. And as the reactions online kept growing, it was obvious that this was only the beginning of a much bigger conversation, leading straight into what came next in after Cardi B's I can't F***K breathe moment hit the internet. The conversation shifted fast. What started as a clip of anxiety during a playoff game turned into a full-blown debate about relationships, pressure, and whether women connected to famous athletes are allowed to be human. Social media didn't just react, it judged. And the way people responded said more about the culture than it did about Cardi herself. Almost immediately, timelines split in two. One side saw a woman who genuinely cared, someone emotionally invested and overwhelmed by the moment. They related to her panic, especially those who've watched loved ones perform under extreme pressure. The other side, though, wasn't as kind. They labeled her reaction as too much, unstable, or attention-seeking. Some even went as far as suggesting she was bad energy for Stefon Diggs. That's where the real issue started, because when a male athlete struggles, the blame rarely stops at the game. People start looking for distractions. And historically, the first target is often the woman closest to him. Girlfriends and wives become convenient scapegoats for losses they had nothing to do with. Cardi's emotional reaction gave critics exactly what they were waiting for. A visual they could twist into a narrative. Suddenly, it wasn't just about football anymore. It became about whether Cardi was too emotional to be dating someone in the NFL spotlight. That idea is deeply unfair, but it's not new. We've seen it happen over and over again. When an athlete wins, it's all about his discipline and focus. When he loses, people look for outside influences to blame. Cardi understands this better than most. She's been blamed for other people's actions before. She's been called a distraction, a problem, liability, all labels designed to strip her of complexity and turn her into a headline. So when the internet started questioning her presence in Stefon Diggs' life, it likely confirmed the very fear that made her anxious in the first place. What many critics fail to recognize is that Cardi didn't create pressure for Stefon, the playoffs did. The expectations did. The media did. She was reacting to pressure, not adding to it. But in a culture that expects women to stay calm, quiet, and supportive at all times, her visible anxiety was treated like a flaw. This moment also exposed how differently vulnerability is perceived depending on who shows it. If Cardi had laughed it off or acted unbothered, people would have praised her confidence. But because she showed fear, it became a problem. The internet loves strength, but only a very specific, controlled version of it. At the same time, Stefon Diggs' performance was being dissected frame by frame. Every route, every target, every missed opportunity was analyzed in real time. And with each moment, the noise grew louder. Fans weren't just watching the game. They were waiting to assign blame. And Cardi, by virtue of being visible and emotional, became part of that conversation whether she wanted to or not. What's often ignored is how isolating this position can be. Loving someone under this level of scrutiny means carrying pressure that isn't yours but still feels heavy. Cardi couldn't change the outcome of the game, yet she would still feel the emotional fallout either way. That kind of emotional labor goes unseen and unappreciated. There's also a deeper layer here, one that ties directly to Cardi's past. She spent years fighting against public narratives that reduce her to chaos or drama. Every emotional moment gets used as proof of something negative. So when she showed stress during the game, it wasn't just about that night. It reopened old wounds about how the world interprets her emotions. This is why her reaction felt so intense. It wasn't just fear for Stefon. It was fear of what the world would do with that fear. One clip can travel faster than context ever will. And once it's out there, you can't take it back, ironically. The same authenticity that made people connect with Cardi also made her vulnerable to criticism. The moment humanized her, but it also reminded everyone how unforgiving public spaces can be. There's very little room for nuance when millions of strangers are looking for something to comment on. As the playoff game went on, it became clear that no outcome would fully protect either of them from judgment. A win would quiet the noise temporarily. A loss would amplify it. Either way, the internet had already decided to turn this, into a story bigger than football. What this moment really revealed is how love looks when it's put under a microscope. It's messy. It's anxious. It doesn't always look calm or glamorous. And when that reality clashes with public expectations, someone always gets labeled as the problem. In this case, Cardi B became that target not because she did anything wrong, but because she dared to feel something out loud. And in a world obsessed with image and composure, that kind of honesty is still treated as a liability as the dust settled and reactions continued to pour in. One question lingered. Was this moment going to be used against her and Stefon? Or would it force people to rethink how they judge emotion, love, and pressure in public relationships? By the time the playoffs wrapped up, Cardi B's I can't F***KN breathe moment had already cemented itself as more than just a clip of nervousness, had become a cultural talking point. Fans, critics, and even casual observers were weighing in, debating everything from her emotional reaction to what it said about her relationship with Stefon Diggs. The conversation wasn't just about football anymore. It was about pressure, love, and how public perception can shape personal moments. What made this moment so significant is how it highlighted the double standards women face in high-profile relationships. A male partner showing nerves, pacing, or vocalizing anxiety is often labeled passionate or intense. When a woman does the same, she risks being labeled dramatic, unstable, or even a distraction. Cardi's anxiety wasn't a flaw, it was a human response to a high-stakes situation amplified by the public eye. Yet the way social media responded revealed how unforgiving the court of public opinion can be. At the same time, this moment underscored the complexity of loving someone whose life is constantly under a microscope. Cardi couldn't influence the game, but she carried the weight of every potential judgment. That emotional labor feeling responsible for perception, even indirectly, often goes unseen. For Cardi, it was not just a playoff game. It was a reminder of everything that comes with being a celebrity partner. Scrutiny, criticism, and pressure to maintain composure even when your heart is racing. Interestingly, her visible anxiety also created a paradoxical effect. While some criticized her for overreacting, others empathized deeply, connecting with her vulnerability. Many fans appreciated seeing her human side, a side that doesn't always dominate headlines or social media posts. It reminded people that behind the glitz, money, and fame, Cardi is still someone who feels, cares, and reacts just like anyone else. That authenticity, while risky, strengthened her connection with a large portion of her audience. Looking at the bigger picture, this moment may even redefine how fans view celebrity relationships. Cardi's reaction challenged the narrative that partners in high-pressure situations must always appear composed or stoic. It offered a glimpse into the emotional realities that accompany love and commitment, especially when fame adds constant scrutiny. Her anxiety, rather than being a weakness, became a testament to how deeply she cares, how invested she is in Stefon's success, both on and off the field. By the end of the playoffs, the takeaway was clear. Cardi B's nervous wreck moment wasn't just a viral clip, it was a cultural mirror. It reflected society's expectations, double standards, and obsession with controlling how women express emotion. It showed that love, anxiety, and public life are complicated, and that being human in front of millions is no small feat. In the end, whether Stefon Diggs had a perfect game or not, Cardi's reaction left a lasting impression. It reminded the world that celebrities aren't just icons. They're people who experience real fear, real attachment, and real emotion. And sometimes being human means admitting you can't breathe, even when everyone else expects you to remain calm. Her moment of vulnerability may have been scrutinized, but it also made her relatable, authentic, and undeniably real side of Cardi B that fans will remember long after the final whistle blew. Watching Cardi B's "I can't breathe" moment reminds us that even celebrities, even people with fame, money, and influence, experience real emotions just like the rest of us. Behind the glitz, the headlines, and the social media posts, there's vulnerability, fear, care, and care especially when someone you love is under pressure. Cardi didn't hide her nerves, and that honesty is exactly what makes her relatable. She showed the world that it's okay to feel deeply, to be anxious, and to let your emotions show, even when everyone is watching. So the next time you see someone in the spotlight struggling, or even yourself, remember this: caring isn't weakness. Feeling doesn't make you unstable. It makes you human. Cardi's reaction to Stefon Diggs' playoff game wasn't about drama, it was about love, investment, and connection. If you've ever been nervous for someone you care about, you get it. And if you've ever been judged for feeling too much, let Cardi's moment remind you that it's okay to be real. Love hard, care deeply, and don't hide your emotions just to fit someone else's expectations. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is breathe through it, even when it feels impossible.